All right, guys, today I wanted to show you guys a color chart. And so I've seen a lot of different questions on Facebook and Instagram about how to do a color chart. And so this really is your preference. And so I wanted to show you a couple of the ways that I do it. And maybe this is something you guys like. So I'm going to show you. So this is a color chart that I've done just in one of my mini palettes, all the colors that are in there. And I've labeled each of the pans in that palette. These are some color charts I have done. This is all of the colors that I have of one specific brand of paint. And so I did pinks and reds and yellows on one, and then the greens and the blues on another, so that I could kind of, as I do my paintings, I could quickly grab it and see what I have. Then I also have the color chart where I do all of the ones in this palette, so that when I open up this palette, it's right here. I can see what's in here, and then I can see where it corresponds with this, because then it's labeled and I know exactly what it is. So that's one way people like to do it. Again, this is the same type of thing. I have all of these colors are here, and I labeled them, and I labeled it on the pan that's there. And it's the same thing here. As I've changed them, I have crossed out a few of them and added some different colors in there. So you can see that I did that one's no longer in this palette. But this is a palette that I made myself with tube paints. I poured them in here, and then I made my own color chart here, and I swatched it out so that I can see the darkest color all the way to the lighter value. So I do this very often, especially when I have so many different palettes, and so I do this quite often. But one of the other ways that I've started doing this color chart is this way. So I've gotten out all of my blues, and I have swatched them all out, and I organize them by brand of paint. And so I have several Van Gogh blues, some Van Gogh. I have one Winston and Newton. I have some Daniel Smith. One of my favorite ones is this big palette is the Mission Magello Gold. I really love those blues. As you can see, I just did it all the way down. I have all the blues, so that when I go to do a painting and I want to do a blue, I can just quickly come and look in here and see which blue that I want. And so, and some of these, the name is different, the brand is different, but they're very similar. So these are different. I can also see quickly which ones are going to be granulating or not. And so I really like this method. So right now I'm gonna get to work swatching out some of my greens, and let me know what you guys think of this, and if you think this is a good way to do your color chart. Okay, so I wanted to slow this down and show you how I do the swatching. And so first I get the paint wet with a clean brush. As you can see, my water is just a little bit green. It's not enough for me to want to change it, but I probably will do that soon. And so I'm going to come in here, and so I got the paint wet. I got a thick amount of this paint on here. It's wet, but it's gonna go onto the paper smoothly. So I'm gonna paint a thick band of that paint up here, and then I get some clean water, and I start from the bottom. I do some clear water, and I go all the way up to meet it, because what I want to know is what is that paint going to do when it mixes with the water, when the water causes movement with the color, what is going to happen? And so that's how you're going to be able to see if the paint is granulating, like some of these up here, if they're going to go down real smooth, like these right here. And so I want to know, what is that water going to make the paint do? And so I get the paint wet. I'm going to get a thick band of that paint right here, a thick mixture of the paint, clean water. I start from the bottom and paint up to meet the paint right there. And then often I'll go back and I'll get another little dab of the thick mixture. I'll kind of go from the corner and sweep down, allowing that paint to mix with the water. I don't want a solid band, a solid square of paint. What I want to know is all the values in between, the darkest mixture of this color and the lightest. And what is that water going to do when it mixes with the paint? And so I'm going to do this next one here. I'll let you watch one more time. Got a thick mixture of the paint. Gonna go on here like this. Clean the brush. Start from the bottom. Go up to meet it here. And then I'm gonna get another thick mixture and start from the corner, and then I sweep down and kind of sweep down to the side and see how it goes. Now with my color chart, what I'm going to do is label each of these, and I label it with the name of the color. So we're going to start here. So this is Hooker's Green. I'm going to label the brand because I like to know, because I have so many different kinds. I actually have more than one Hooker's Green, more than one Sap Green, and this is actually Hooker's Green Deep, so I'm going to make sure to note that on here. So when I go to look for the tube, maybe I need to look for the correct pan, I will be able to find that on here, or find that easily. So I labeled the brand, the name, and then, yeah. Alright, so Hooker's Green. The next one is Olive Green. And make sure you use a waterproof pen on this. I tend to get water or paint splashes on my color chart often because I have it out whenever I am painting. And so if I use a waterproof pen, it's not going to bleed and mess up the color chart that I worked so hard to make. Alright guys, so I'm going to keep filling these in and it's going to be beautiful. So tell me what you think about this style of color chart and tell me if you think this would be useful.